Today, let's rank all 14 of the Ghostface killers. Let's talk a little bit about that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into these rankings. Just for the record, let's talk a little bit about how this is gonna go down. Top spot, S tier, top of the line Ghostfaces. This goes in the Jill's Creamery, baby. These are the best of the best. The 10 out of 10, no notes Ghostfaces go all the way up there. Next up is Billy's Baby Oil. These are Ghostfaces who are oiled up almost to perfection, but just not quite. They're still very good though, and I like them. They're all wet and lubed up. Then there's Mid. Pretty self-explanatory. Could have been Stu is like, you could have been great, but you're just not. And then there's Detective Bailey. Also, I just feel like I don't have to explain this. Like, just not very good. Bottom of the barrel. Very easy to spot.
You fuck with my family, you die.
But anyways, let's get into this. We're starting off here with Amber Freeman. Love this character a ton. I think I'm gonna put her in Billy's Baby Oil. I love Amber's reveal. It is a blow your mind crazy moment, literally and figuratively. What keeps her out of Jill's Creamery for me personally is on subsequent viewings of Scream 5, she is very antagonistic. Like, she's constantly like deflecting what's going on with, you know, the murder mystery that is currently ongoing. It's something we've seen in the franchise before from a lot of the other Ghostfaces before they were revealed. So this is something I feel like we kind of have to lose, even though it does make sense, or at least we got to do it in a more subtle way. There are times where I feel like Amber goes a little overboard with that, but everything else about the character I love. I think she gives a super over the top and unhinged performance at the end too, which is like way up there. Fun fact too, so far she's the only Ghostface killer to win an Oscar. Another one I love is Billy Loomis and his sticky cherry fingers. Oh baby, do I want to be sucking on them fingers too, buddy. He goes all the way up to Jill's Creamery. Billy Loomis is awesome, super unhinged performance. Our first big reveal, and even though you can kind of tell it's Billy, they really throw you off the scent at a certain point. Billy's iconic. I don't even think there's much more to say about him. Skeet Ulrich's best performance without a doubt. Love him. Maybe not so much in 5 and 6, but I love him here. Charlie Walker is up next. One of the most brutal Ghostfaces without a doubt, but I just, you know, I hate to do this, but he's kind of mid. I feel like it's obviously him, but at the same time, he does get some brutal kills under the mask. So that's pretty cool. But his motive is essentially, I want to simp for Jill Roberts. And while I understand that, I can't put him higher than that for that motive. It's just not cool enough. Ethan is a Detective Bailey. He's Detective Bailey's son, and he doesn't really get up much more higher than that. He's got a cool kill, and I'll give him that. You know, Kirby smashing that TV on his head. That TV is 2 for 2, baby. Let me tell you. But Ethan, I don't have a whole lot of love for. I think he's pretty obvious to spot. I mean, even Mindy Meeks, who is wrong about everything, was able to spot this guy as Ghostface. Not a whole lot of love for Ethan. Greg in the fridge. He's a pile of meat. He goes behind Ethan and Detective Bailey. While I think this is my least favorite Ghostface because we literally only see him as a pile of meat in a fridge, I feel like that's kind of the point with this character, and that's fun to me. We can revel and have fun in what is the worst Ghostface, without a doubt. Another hot take potentially, but Jason Carvey's going up to Billy's Baby Oil, but he's up there for the shock value from that opening scene alone. I feel like his motive is purposefully redundant and repetitive to say like, hey, this Ghostface is gonna be something different. The Ghostface doesn't really end up being anything super different in Scream 6, but it kind of gave you the sense that maybe it was going to with this opening sequence. I love the performance and pettiness from Tony Revolori in this opening scene. It is such a standout moment, maybe my favorite scene in all of Scream 6, if I'm being honest. It's some great stuff, great way to open up that movie. Easily one of my favorites for sure. Jill Roberts. Going up into the creamery, of course, it's her creamery. Jill is just one of my favorite Ghostfaces. She is petty, she is cold and evil. She kills her mom moments before she is revealed. What Ghostface does something crazy like that? I have so much respect for Jill. She's insane. It's a great twist. You don't expect it. You think she's gonna be the new Sidney Prescott, so of course she's not gonna be Ghostface, but she is. We all should have known when she ate that cheese stick incorrectly. I love Jill though. She's without a doubt an S-tier Ghostface, and I think honestly maybe my new favorite. Mickey Altieri, another one that I'm so sorry, Mr. Billy, but I gotta let's just move you over a little bit. Mickey just has the best motive out of all the Ghostfaces. Jill is all about the fame and just, you know, basically taking that element away from Sidney Prescott that she has, that again was present throughout the entire film. Who knew it was going to be about that? That was really cool to end the movie focused on that, a subtle thing throughout the whole flick. But Mickey is in a lot of ways the same. There's this theme of, you know, people blaming the movies for all the violence that's happening in real life, a real life talking point from the late 90s, and they work that into the story, especially with this character. Mickey doesn't get my top spot because he is overshadowed by our next Ghostface killer, but if he hadn't, I think he would easily be the undefeated #1 Ghostface of all time, because it is the most Scream motive you could possibly have to essentially get away with murder and blame it on the movies. That's exactly what the Ghostfaces should stand for. They're villains in the meta horror movie that is talking about horror movies. Of course your villains are going to be people who are ruining the fun for everybody else. I know a lot of people love Mrs. Loomis, Debbie Salt, whatever. I'm going to say could have been Stu. I just don't get the love for this character. The performance is campy and over the top and silly. I will give her that. That's a positive, and I can have fun with that. But in terms of the murder mystery, I think this is one of the very worst on the list, and that is saying something when we come to some of these other characters we're about to talk about. She kind of just pokes her head in to be all suspicious around Gale Weathers throughout the majority of this flick. It's just real obvious. Hot take, I guess, but I've just never been crazy about Debbie Salt. Quinn Bailey, they're kind of just repeating the whole Roman thing with this character. I'm gonna put her... do I put her above Ethan? She's definitely in Detective Bailey, that's for sure. I'm just not crazy about this killer. Saw that coming from a long shot. If you had seen Scream 3, it's just like, of course she's the killer. I'm gonna put her above Ethan just because I think she has some funnier lines than Ethan.
Shut your whore fucking mouth!
The way that she's just like shitting on Sam throughout this entire third act is pretty funny to me. It's like, you've been holding that in, living with this character this whole time. Huh, wow. Again, the motive, not very interesting. You killed our brother. It's like, yeah, of course that's the motive. It's just, it's very predictable. It's something that Scream has already done. That's why she's gotta be below Nancy Loomis too, even though that burns my soul. Richie Kirsch, again, great killer, but a little obvious. So I think I'm gonna put him in like the bottom of Billy's baby oil. I love the motive of we are trying to give Hollywood better ideas. Just like Mickey Altieri, I feel like Scream killers need to embody like people who ruin the fun of horror movies, and Richie Kirsch is that toxic fan that kills any sort of life or fun that we can have with weirder movies or franchise continuations like Scream 5 and 6. This to me is like a spitting example of what I want from a new Scream film, these kinds of killers. My only thing with Richie is I feel like he's a little easy to spot, and that's not necessarily even Richie's fault with the writing, it's just the fact that he's played by Jack Quaid. Of course it's Jack Quaid. You know what I mean? Like, dude, Jack Quaid he can pull off the killer. He can pull off the sweet and innocent guy because of the way his face looks too. He can do both. He's a perfect option for a Ghostface killer in this franchise. It makes so much sense that he was cast in this role. And even though the performance is great there, I do think he is a little easy to spot. But again, is that the writer's fault? Is that his fault? No, it's just... he's Jack Quaid, of course it's him. Roman Bridger, and you're gonna hate me for this, is like the definition of the guy that should be at the top of mid. There are some great things about this character, and there are some awful things about this character, and there's no in between. It's kind of just the way I feel about Scream 3, which Roman is the perfect killer for Scream 3 for that reason. Peaks and valleys with Roman Bridger, in my opinion. I love the performance from Scott Foley. It is insane, the whole battle he has with Sidney Prescott at the end of this movie. It's very intense. Kind of shocking for the silly movie that preceded it, but man, it's some good stuff. It's very over the top. It really works for a Scream movie. It's a little more grounded than Mrs. Loomis from Scream 2, but it still packs a lot of energy, which is what you want from a third act from a Scream movie. I don't love his motive at all. Like, I don't like the idea that Sidney has a secret brother that's been manipulating it the whole time, pulling the strings from afar. That's ridiculous. And the fact that he's also a movie director too, like this guy had to jump through hoops to make this whole thing happen. I kind of wish he was something a little more simple. He was just the director of Stab that wanted to take the franchise down a different direction and literally kill people on screen. It could have been something as simple as that, not secret brother to Sidney Prescott. I don't know. That doesn't work for me. I like the idea of a Stab director, a Stab movie director, maybe a producer, somebody a part of that, being the killer. That was a cool idea. And all the John Milton commentary in Scream 3 is phenomenal. I applaud that film for that reason. I think he also gets the most kills out of all the Ghostfaces too, which is really cool. He's technically, as of right now, the only Ghostface killer to do it single-handedly. That may change. We might learn a little more about Angelina Tyler, and then we're gonna have to do this ranking all over again when Scream 7 comes out. Who knows? But as of right now, he is the only Ghostface to have done it solo, which is pretty cool. Again, another pro for this guy. Stu Macher is up next. Guys, he's still alive, so it's kind of hard for me to rank him. Stu's hilarious, man. I think in terms of performance, this is the best campy performance we have on the entire list. He's easily going to the creamery, of course. I think I value something like Mickey or Jill in this franchise a little more, because you still have some really fun moments with these characters, but their motive is phenomenal. Stu is a really interesting character, not to take away from him by any means, but he is ultimately just Billy Loomis's sidekick. He goes above Billy because I think the performance is just, I mean, it's so goofy. It's so much fun. You can't not love this guy when he's on screen doing his little shtick. It's amazing. But ultimately, why is he there? It's because of peer pressure. It's simple. It's fun. It's effective. It's great. He deserves the top spot without a doubt. But does he beat out these other two who are just something special in my opinion? I'm going to argue no. This is maybe a controversial take. I love these two so much, but Mickey and Jill, I just think they embody everything I want from Scream killers more than anybody else on this list. And then finally, Wayne Bailey. Detective Bailey. Where's he going? Come on now. Of course. I like him better than his two kids and, the Greg meat in the fridge. I will say that though. I think the performance cracks me up from him, and that's kind of what I love about the guy. At a certain point, he's Ghostface, but we're having fun with how ridiculous the conversation is. He just gets campier and campier and campier as this movie goes along, and I feel like it's just paced better than Mrs. Loomis. I still think I like Mrs. Loomis's campy stuff. I think that's funnier to me than Detective Bailey. Shortcoming for Detective Bailey is the fact that he's so obvious, he's so easy to spot, and he just gives himself and basically the whole movie's twist away.
You die.
I can enjoy the campier sides of this character. I can have fun with it, even though it does kind of ruin the big twist of the movie by the time we get to the end. So this is how I would rank the Ghostface killers personally. Maybe some hot takes in here, I know. I'm curious how you guys would rank them though. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.